Hey, welcome back to setting up a REST API using a MenStack. In the previous video, we finished off CRUD. We were able to use the delete request to delete a single user. We ended up using request.body.id instead of request.params.id like we did in the update. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, I post up tutorials, tips, and tricks for web development, especially for developers that are just getting started. So if that's the sort of content you're interested in, please do subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or have a request, let me know by commenting down below. I'm always open for new suggestions for content. Let's take a look at how we can use our REST API on a different site. What we'll do here is we'll create a test, do a test folder. And in our test, we'll do index.html. Let's do doc API cores test. Each one, do list users, div container, loading, and we'll add a script. Do just test.js. And here we'll add new file, test.css, file test.js. I'm just going to load in h2p. I'm going to adding pixels. And I'll do user, I'll do margin from 1 rem. In our test, yes, I'm going to do const container document dot query selector container. I'm going to save that, and that will be this right here. Now what we want to do is we want to fetch our endpoint. I'm going to do const get users, the async. I'm going to have an endpoint here. I'm going to do try catch error. Here I'll do container L or HTML, and this will be error. What we're going to do is we'll do const data wait fetch our endpoint const JSON data. Then I'll do a CLG on data. I'll just say loaded. For a quick test here, I have live server set up, and this is just going to open it up in 1.2. So I have it on a different, and I'll do localhost 1000, serve it up. Oh, I also need to actually call it. So I'm going to do set timeout, the arrow function, get user, and my insomnia here, and I'm going to get all users endpoint, and I'll give it a delay of 1000 milliseconds just to kind of simulate more of what it would kind of be like if it went and requested something. Now let's take a look. So I have a fetch error here, list users. Let's load that. Okay, so if we go into and inspect, okay, so we're going to get this error, access to fetch localhost from origin has been blocked by CORS policy. No access. Access control allows origin. So what we need to do is we need to install CORS to our API. So let's quit out of this. So we can do npm install -d CORS, install that. Look at our JSON package. It should have installed CORS here. In our app.js, we just need to add that to our middleware. So app.CORS, save that. Hopefully, npm crashed. Oh, we need to add CORS up here as well. Save that, and that should work now. Just a little ahead of myself. So that is now up and running. We have both our live server and here. It should be now loaded. Now if I go back into inspect, we should get an array of 4 items here. So it's been loaded. So it was loading and now loaded. After a second, loading, now loaded. Let's go over here. go back to our test.js. What we can do here is we can add some stuff to this. So I have this, delete that. What I'll do here is JSON data for each. And here I'll do let created date. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this data here that we got from our JSON data, and we're going to loop through it. We have our user. We'll do user.date to local date string en.ca. We have our container EL here. So I'm going to grab this backticks concatenate data, and here I can start kind of writing some regular HTML here, class, and this will be our user. I have an h2, and this will be user.title or name. Okay, so that should be good. Here I'll do this. This will be title, bio, break. Here I'll do small. This user created on, and we'll bring in our date here. So let's test this out. Let's save this, and we'll load it Chrome, and there we go. We can see here that we queried our API from over here, this localhost 3000 API user, and we're able to list it out within our HTML here through our test. Okay, and if I went and did an update, so let's go to single. Here's the ID for our single. We'll update this. I'm going to update send here. Load that. That should be Pikachu without the new. Oh, invalid date. Okay, so it doesn't like that. Let me. Okay, so take a look. Looks like none of my dates are actually in. Take a look at our schema over here. And it looks like I wrote this wrong. Default. Let's try that now. I'm going to go and delete. I'm going to go and delete this user. And I guess I'll post it. So now there's a date. And hopefully one of them will work. If I go back. It looks like there's a date now that I fixed this error over here in my default. And I guess what I'll do is I'll go back into my other video and correct that. I'll go back in time for that, just so there's no confusion on the schema. Yeah, so that's how you create a REST API, and that's how you would be able to access it on a different website or a different domain. Otherwise, if you were using the same domain, I guess you wouldn't need to use cores, as long as I think it's on the same server as well. Domain-wise is one of the things that it looks for cores. So it could also cause issues if you're not on the same server as well, or the same IP. Want to do a little recap here on our test. What we did is I have a container on our HTML here. And what we're doing is we're setting up a function here, and we're going to fetch our data from our endpoint. From here, the data that we get, we're going to convert it to JSON. We're purging out anything that's in our container, and we're going to loop through the data. What we're doing is we're just going to parse out the data that we get from our endpoint. Now we're able to do this because we installed cores for our Express application for our REST API and added it, and we're using it as a middleware here. So that gives us the ability to be able to query it on a different domain, because this is running on port 3000. We were running it on over here, and I was using this live server on port 5000. Let's run it. Do it one last time. And that should be loading. And I put a set timeout down here just to simulate 1 second of delay as we're fetching this. Load that. We can see that I have my loading, and then it pops in with the data. Yeah, that's about it for setting up our REST API using a Menstack, using Mongo, Express, and Node. Okay, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about REST APIs, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. So hopefully I'll talk to you guys in a new tutorial series. Hey, if you've gotten this far, thanks for the support. This will help the channel grow. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to click the thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. To stay updated with the latest content from the channel, you can subscribe by clicking right here in the middle.